Hey YouTube, it's your girl, Dr. J, the Midlife Writer, and today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that combines the two things that I really enjoy talking about on this channel. Number one is moving abroad, and number two is writing. So, as you guys know, I'm the midlife writer, and that is because I started my journey into being an author um, in my 40s, and that has been a really rewarding experience. But beyond that, it really is an opportunity to help me write my way abroad. And I'm going to talk to you about several aspects of that and how becoming an author, a self published author, has really opened the door for me internationally and put some things in place that really expand my opportunities to live abroad and where I can be abroad. So I'm going to cover several different things in this video. So sit back and relax and enjoy. So first, um, the big thing is that when you decide to be a self-published author, you really want to know a lot about the field. And one of the biggest kind of hidden facts about the field of self-publishing is that there was a survey that was done several years ago of self-published authors, and they found that the average self-published author sells about 250 copies of the book that they self-publish, and that's not a very good number. However, for me, I have 3 books out in my children's book series, The Steam Chasers, and so far, those books have sold over 15,000 copies on Amazon. I've sold over 3,000 copies from my website. And when I initially did my series, I did some crowdfunding for some of the self publishing costs, and I sold about 2,500 copies through crowdfunding sources. And so that's, you know, uh, significantly more than 250 copies. And one thing that good sales do is they really help to establish you as a professional author. Another thing that came in with that was having very good reviews. I have hundreds of views, close to 1,000 reviews between all of my 3 books on Amazon and Goodreads, and then some other places like Barnes and Noble and some of those other sites. And I average a 5-star rating. And so that again legitimizes my work as a professional author, because it's not enough to just put your book out there if it's not well received. And so reviews look at the content, they look at the story and the quality, and they look at the editing. And my books have done very well in all 3 of those aspects. Even though when I first started this, when I first put pen to paper 5 years ago, I didn't know anything about the field. I had to learn everything about it from scratch. And I want to make it so you don't have to do that. But really that's where I started from. And so to go from that point to, just recently I was recognized by the National Museum of African American History and Culture by being put on their summer reading list for Afrofuturistic writing, or stories for kids for 2023. That's a huge deal. Like, that was like my dream, to be recognized by the National Museum of African American History and Culture, because it is the epitome of, they've been charged with being the keepers of African American culture and our story here in the United States. And to be a part of that is really a dream come true. And I was able to do that as a self-published author. And so having recognition within the United States is one thing. But remember, this video is about how you can write your way abroad. And so what have I been doing to have international recognition? So one of the things that I do is I authorize my books to be sold in countries throughout the world. And that has been good because I can track where my books are selling. And so my books have sold, I think I'm at 10 countries now. And while I don't know who is buying the books, so I don't know if the people who are buying the books in those countries are Americans who have immigrated to those countries or if they're citizens of those countries. Sometimes I know that they're citizens of those countries because I get emails from kids or parents telling me that they're enjoying the book. But I do know that I am making sales in other countries. So that's a big deal, right? So that helps to open the door to being recognized internationally. Another thing that has really impacted my recognition internationally is that I was a finalist for a book award that was given in the UK. And so again, huge deal. So my books competed against British authors in the UK, and that was significant because my books are based on the Black American experience. So to have these books on the Black American experience not only be recognized, but be rewarded in a book award competition in the UK was, again, a humongous accomplishment. And it really helped to legitimize my work and my recognition as an international author. Now, why is it important to be recognized as an international author? There are some countries where they have visas set aside for people who are remarkable in their field, and being recognized and winning awards and having sales as an author in those countries can really help you to qualify for those visas. Now, I'm not on one of those visas right now. I haven't had a need for one of those visas, but I am continuing to build my resume. So if I needed to immigrate to another country, or if something happened with the visas that I'm on, then that helps me have a stronger application if I'm going to go for one of those visas in a country that I'm in or in a country that I'm immigrating to. So that's, again, important to build that international recognition. Another reason why being internationally recognized really does matter and it really does have an impact is because I know when I got to South Korea, I wasn't in the country 6 months before I was invited to participate in an event and be there with my books and representing my books at this, huge festival that was taking place in the country. And then 2 weeks before the event, I was contacted and asked if I would not only give the keynote, but also the opening address at this event. And so that was huge, right? Because it's how you're being welcomed into the country, and you're being welcomed into the country, not just somebody who's like, "Ooh, I'm tired of US. I just want to come here. Can y'all help me rest?" But just like they're happy to have you here as well. And so that's a huge deal. Like I get to see that the country is welcoming me in, just like I'm happy to be here. And so that really can impact you. So if there's some places that you want to go, you can, look at your writing and say, hey, is it a fit? Are there some themes that people care about? And if you write really well, you don't have to change anything about your story. My story doesn't change from one country to the next. So it doesn't matter what country, you're going to have the same Steam Chasers book. So I don't have to change my story in order for it to be welcomed in the countries that I would choose to be a part of anyway. And so that's something that's really, really amazing. So I've talked about the recognition and exposure and all those other things, but let's talk about the other side, and that is the money. Now, first, let's be honest. So even in the United States, over 80% of people that have published books continue to have a full-time job or another primary source of income. So most people use their writing as supplemental income. And that is true for if you're going to move internationally as well. However, I've been taking my time and really paying attention to and looking at people who are in various countries, Americans who are in various countries throughout the world, whether that's, and how they are, what their budget is. So I'm looking at what people say they spend a month, whether they're in Mexico or Panama or Portugal or France or Germany or Japan or in any of those places. And what I see is basically what I bring in from my books right now will cover anywhere from a quarter up to 75% of what people are budgeting right now for their stays in other countries. So, like, even if I don't write any more books, and I plan on writing at least a dozen more books, right? And so, if I didn't plan on writing any more books, what I bring in consistently year after year with the books that I've written would cover a significant portion of if I were to move internationally today, or if I needed to live off of what I bring from those books. So right now, my husband and I work where we are, so we don't have to worry about what comes in, from my book sales. But we will be retiring in about 10 years and still planning to live abroad. And so as we're looking at the places where we may live, right, when we're retired, we know this is how much we are, should be getting from Social Security. This is how much we should be getting from pensions. This is in our 401k. And so you look at it and go, okay, here's where we can live, like based on this amount of money. But some of the more expensive places where you can live, a lot of them English speaking, like Australia, London, being in New Zealand, and then other places like Paris or being in Singapore, like Tokyo. Those are some of the most expensive cities in the world. And so they would be out of reach. However, when I start to add in that supplemental income that I make from my book sales, now more of those places are feasible because I'm bringing in this additional income. And a lot of people talk about the importance of residual income, or making money while you sleep, or do it once and make money all over again. And that really is the case with writing a book. If you write a good book and you have people who are interested in it, and you have you're constantly gaining new readers, you write that book once and it continues to sell over and over and over again. And I literally wake up and see how many books did I sell the day before, because I am selling books while I sleep. Right now, because once I moved internationally, I stopped the sales from my website because I didn't want to have international shipping costs. So now I don't have to be a part of that process at all. So people order my books, whether it be from Amazon or other places, Barnes and Nobles, or Books A Million, or you can find my books at, in a lot of different places. And so they take care of printing, shipping, all of that stuff. So I don't have to do the work to make it work. And so that's a really big deal. And that's what I'm making just with having 3 books on the market right now. And so that's really what it's all about. And so by adding another 3 books, and those 3 books sell the way that these books sell, we wouldn't have to worry about any additional income. It could just come from the book sales. But right now, we really want to look at it just as supplemental income, things that can supplement our lifestyle, or if there was a need or an emergency, we have those funds available. And so if you are looking at it where you're like, okay, well, I'm only going to be getting this much in Social Security. Am I going to be able to live overseas? Hey, if you got a book inside you, if you have a passion for it, I can teach you how to self-publish and go through the process and really be successful in that. Now, it's what I'm teaching. I have been a author, coach, and consultant for a while, and I've helped a number of people go through the self-publishing process. And I will tell you that I'm going to be very open and honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, you're going to make $1,000 a week if you use my system, or if you take my course, you're going to be a millionaire. Like I said, over 80% of people who write have another job. So I'm not going to tell you you're going to make $1,000 a week by selling books. But it's not outside of the possible to be making $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. Are there people who are making $1,000 a week? Absolutely. But that's after a lot of patience. That's after a lot of going through the process. And generally, when you have people who are bringing in $1,000 a week legitimately, and they have sustained that income over time, there are going to be people who have several books on the market. So not just one or two or even three. They're probably balancing more than one entire series, and then have, bringing in $4,000 a month or $1,000 a week then becomes more obtainable. But for the average person that I work with, it's, yeah, you can bring in $500 to $1,000 a month, and sometimes that's going to be the difference between you living in another place and thriving in another place. And again, you write it once and you publish it once, and yeah, there's some marketing that you want to do with it, especially if you want to keep that international recognition and keep the process. But the thing is, when you're invited into places to speak, that's additional income. When I take my books places, I do merchandising. So I'm not just selling my books, I'm selling backpacks and duffel bags and shirts and all these other sort of things along with it. So that's increasing my income even more that I make with my books when I go, so I'm doing marketing, but I'm also doing events. When I'm invited in as a speaker, I'm getting paid for those things. And so that really does help with the income as well. So it really can increase what you're bringing in. And so I wanted to share that and add that to the conversation, because I hear a lot of people talking about side hustles that you can do and ways that you can make money, but I haven't really heard people talk about being an author as a way to make money. And what I am offering is that one of the things that being an author does is it not only allows you to make supplemental income, it also can open you up for qualifying for different types of visas. It can also offer you an opportunity to make more connections when you go into a country. Like, there are several places where I know my books are actually sold in stores in those places. So when I have a trip on the calendar to those places, I can contact that bookstore. Hey, I know you're selling my book. Can I come in and sign some copies while I'm there? Can I do a book signing while I'm there? Even if there are bookstores who aren't selling my book right now, and I know I'm going to go to that country, I can contact that bookstore and say, hey, this is me. This is my book series. You can look me up. Can we get together? Can we chat and talk about it? And maybe that can be a way for me to make some more amazing connections while I'm in that country, or make a connection in that country, even if it's not someplace that I plan on living. And so I'm really excited about book publishing. I'm really excited about writing. I really believe that the more stories we have out there, the better. The more stories written by actual people. I'm particularly interested in own voices writing. I write from the Black American perspective, because a lot of people don't know, when you see, for children's books in particular, when you see a Black child, a Black face on the cover, less than 1/3 of the books that have Black kids on the cover, that have Black kids as the main character, were written by Black authors. And so I'm always going to be out there saying, hey, we should be writing our story. We should be the people who are telling our stories. So I'm very passionate about helping people write their story and get their story out there and get their perspective out there, and do it professionally, do it well, do it in a way that's going to cause you to have success. And so if you're interested in that, definitely give this video a thumbs up, give it a like. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to talk more about my consulting services or the courses that I'm going to be launching that will help you to self-publish your book and hopefully find some amazing success, and also help to get your foot in the door for some places internationally. So if that's something that interests you, I would love to hear about it. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you're interested, because writing your way abroad is a possibility. So thank you so much. This is Dr. J, the Midlife Writer, and I'm out. Bye-bye.